he from Poland, or is that just his gamer nationality or something?
I have no idea, and that doesn't seem like a Polish flag. I thought it was a Monaco flag.
Yeah, I think it's a Monaco.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like a Monaco flag. Almost thought it was Singapore. Anyway, Monaco GP, post race. How did y'all feel? I'm going to start off with KDB because he had quite the spin. So, talk us through. You ended up on the podium either way. Tell me how you felt about the race as a whole, and then we'll get to the specific details of the rain. What are the odds? Anyway, Danny, why don't you go instead?
Yeah, man, amazing race. Like honestly, like it was pretty much a mixed bag throughout for everyone. Like the three of us in front pretty much escaped all the chaos at the back, and for good reason. You know, that was the whole like plan going into qualifying. And yeah, the three of us made a race of our own at the front. Like we were trying to battle out for the podium positions, and at the back it was absolute chaos. It was nice in a way in the sense that the weather played a big role. Like I don't think any of us predicted like at which point the track would become like fully wet or like half in between a dry and a wet session. So that changed the whole like dimension of the race. So it was pretty good. Yeah.
Cool. KDB, a nice
Can you hear me
podium
now?
finish
Okay.
in the Williams
Yeah.
once again.
Unfortunately, it's only a podium and not P1 like I was hoping for. Oh my god, what is happening with my camera? 1 second, just hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, can you see me? Yeah.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, something's wrong with my camera. I don't know. Yeah, so unfortunately, it's only a podium and not P1 like I hope. Like I had the pace over accelerate, but a few clumsy mistakes cost me P1. So I'm a bit disappointed, but it's not that bad considering P2 and all.
Does street circuits work best for you? Because last time it was a street circuit in Baku, you actually placed P1. So that's why I'm curious.
Maybe there's a pattern emerging here. I don't know. We'll have to see in Canada. Maybe I can prove my, I can prove your hypothesis.
Maybe because
I feel it has to do with the wheel. Like I feel on this track, especially the keyboard and the the pad players struggle a bit. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah, because if you really think about it, Williams aren't supposed to be. The Williams car isn't one that needs to be on the or supposed to be on the podium. So I mean, you're a commendable driver. I mean, everyone in the league brings your name up when you ask them about anything with regard to talent and skill. So that goes without saying. But talk us through this whole moment where I'm pretty sure Sushruth will bring this up too. But once the rain started falling down, y'all were a little late at making decisions.
Yeah, especially, I mean, Daniel, he missed out on P1, I think, or P2 because of not pitting for wets when it started raining really heavily. So, I mean, the rain did start coming in pretty slowly. So it was still good for like dry tires for about 5-6 laps before we had to pit for inters. It was a very, difficult thing to decide. But luckily, Jeff came into my ear at the right time and told me to pit for inters. He was like perfectly fine with strategy calls. That race.
All right, so strategy calls. The last two chats that I've done have actually given me the perfect cue, like who was spoken last, to start my questions. So we'll start off with KDB. Like on lap 8, you pit for the mediums while some people went on the hard tires.
Yeah.
So I guess that probably would have helped your pace, right? Because considering it rained, you would have had to spend less time warming up the tires, getting the heat into them and the grip. So you would have been faster. So would you say that played a role in your podium?
Yeah, it did. Actually, my strategy was, we did plan for a dry race. Nobody planned for a wet race. So my strategy was to go from soft, medium, medium. That was about, I think 8 or 10 seconds faster than 8 or 10 seconds faster than medium to hard. So soft, medium, medium was my strategy. Although I was losing out on track positions by making pit stops. So when I saw that it was going to rain at about the 30-45 minute mark, it actually played perfectly into my strategy. So like softs, about 8 laps, and then 12 to 14 laps maybe of mediums, and then we can probably start pitting for the wet tires. So it played into my hands perfectly, strategy wise.
assuming that there wasn't rain, I mean, which would have taken away a lot of excitement, of course, but do you think maybe if you had, like, I think in the pre-race chat, Accelerate had mentioned that track position is everything. So would you have considered
Yeah.
maybe soft, medium, soft with a longer
Soft,
stint
medium,
on
sort.
mediums?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it would have been dependent on like safety cars. Maybe a few safety cars would have come out, then I would have been able to stretch the mediums. But if there was no safety car and a clean, like a clean race, I don't think soft, medium, soft would have worked for me. Like considering how I drive and my tire varies a lot.
Right. Okay, coming to Big Man Show now. So, I mean, I had only one question on the dry strategy for the drivers because, I mean, the wets is where it got interesting. So, you went for the hards in the first pit stop. So, do you think that going on the mediums might have given you a higher position on the podium? I mean, you couldn't have predicted the rain, of course, but do you think in hindsight maybe going on the mediums was a better choice for you?
Well, like KDB was saying, like none of us planned for the rain, so if it was completely dry, I felt like soft to hards would be uh, ideal in the sense that you're not making that additional stop, right? So you don't lose those 20 seconds in the pits. And the other thing was, yeah, I was concerned with the hards, like it could last like almost 25, 30 laps, but the pace wasn't there. But the issue with the medium was I tried the mediums and like it would last really well for like 10, 12, 14 laps, but then there would be like a sudden drop off at the end. And you don't want a tire like that in Monaco. Like if you're really struggling with tire wear, this is one of the worst tracks to be on, because all your braking points start changing and you could hit the wall. So if it stayed dry, I think I would have done the soft to hard. And given where everyone was, maybe podium would have been possible. But the win, I'm not sure because the guys up front had like good race pace. In qualifying, I think KTB did 11.6 and accelerated 11.8. And yeah, that pretty much was my personal best. I couldn't match the time. So I think, yeah, a podium would have been possible. But did you guys also notice that I undercut accelerate when the VSE came out? So it was around lap 9 or 10. So just when I was entering into the pits, the VSE came out. So I saved up a lot of time there and undercut in there. So that was pretty good. Like everyone was saying, the mistake that I did was staying one lap like extra on the inter tires. That was a huge mistake because I felt the grip was fine. I could go for maybe one more lap, but then I kept seeing the timer and it's like it's going from 20 seconds, 17, 12, and I was like, okay, I'm gone. So I need to pit in as fast as possible. Maybe if I had pit the lap before, I saw accelerate going into the pits, I should have just followed him. So in hindsight, looking at it, yeah, that's what I should have done. But it's hindsight again. So yeah.
I was actually previously, before I deleted it on my iPad right here, I had a question, like a statement about how you undercut him. I mean, if the race had stayed dry, that probably would have been a strategic masterclass from you, right?
I don't know, masterclass or not, because in the end of the day, like Monaco, I think you've never had a league race where there's no safety car or there's no VSC. Like it's just not possible on this track. It almost always comes out. So you try to include that in your strategy as well. So if you know safety cars coming out under fuel, or maybe go for a different tire towards the end. So yeah, I think it worked out for the three of us in the end because at the back it was pretty awful. That's for sure.
Was this the first time you all had like rain at Monaco though?
I don't think it rained last time.
Think.
I don't think it rained last time.
Yeah, I don't think we've had it yet.
Yeah, it didn't rain last time. I remember winning last time. Yeah. Wait, did I win? I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember last season.
Yeah, you came first and I came second.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, now coming to the wet weather part of the race. Would you say, like, it's the next questions that I have are for both of you, so you can answer one at a time. It's you think you were unlucky or lucky as soon as the rain started, after the safety car went in? Like, as soon as the safety car went in, you guys were on the dry tires and then it started raining. So I think you had 1 or 2 laps on the dry tires with slightly damp, or greasy track. So how are the laps? Like how is it to handle? Was it difficult? Did you have any incidents?
I think it was like pretty greasy, but it was manageable. Like I don't think any of us would have lost control because both of us were like all three of us were adjusting pretty well to the conditions. But I don't think we would have changed anything. Like I think what we did was stay out in the dry tires for a bit longer and then shift to the intermediates. I think even if we repeated the race again, I felt we would have done the same because there was a very natural progression from like fully dry and then slowly the rain starts and then the grip keeps reducing, right? So I don't think we could have, if we had pit like 2 or 3 laps earlier for inters, we would have been in trouble. I think Nishchay did that and he crashed into the wall, right? Turn 6 or 7. So I think given the conditions, we reacted as well as we could.
Yeah, same. Exactly what Daniel said. I mean, in fact, right before the race, you can actually see a weather forecast. And the minute I saw it was going to rain, I actually got really excited because I always seem to have the pace on the others when it comes to wet track. So I was already excited going into the race. I was actually waiting for the rain. And when I saw it started raining right around the period of the safety car, I got a little bit tense, but it worked out in the end because the track didn't immediately get wet. So we didn't have to immediately switch to winters.
Would you have preferred the safety car to have lasted a couple more laps and then just directly pit for the inters, or was it still ideal or like manageable for both of you?
Not sure because like even if the safety car lasted for 2 more laps, it wouldn't have been ideal to go to the inters just then. I think we did about 5 laps on the greasy track. So if I had switched to inters, even if the safety car was out for like 2 or 3 more laps, it wouldn't have been ideal. So it doesn't really matter when the safety car went in.
Yeah, I think so because the weather also kept changing, right? It was not like light rain throughout. It went from light rain to heavy rain as well. So if it was only light rain throughout, and then I think we would have suffered a bit, right? Because I think others went a bit earlier for inters while we stayed out a bit. So yeah, I think weather in that way, like we can't predict on this game, especially because you can see on your race strategy what the weather will be like, but you can't really predict at what lap exactly it happens on. So we just did what we could basically.
Yeah. So my final strategic question. So I mean, like you mentioned, it went from a completely dry track to then you needed inters and then you needed full wets. So like from a viewer's perspective, like when I was watching the conditions unfold, I was thinking, okay, maybe I would have gone in inters earlier. Okay, I would have gone on the wets earlier. So from your perspectives, like how did it unfold and what was your thinking behind all your decisions? Like what was running through your mind throughout when the conditions were changing?
I think all of us would have been on the phone to Jeff, constantly asking him what's the weather like, because he'll be the first indicator. No, when he says, okay, it's time to shift to the inters, that's usually when we change for the tires, because sometimes it's not very easy to predict how based on feeling alone. Like sometimes I feel you can manage on the dry tires, but then you'll see your lap delta and it keeps slowly going down, and then immediately Jeff tells you, you know what, let's shift to the inter. So we pretty much we were relying on Jeff to make those transition moments from the dry to the inters and the inters to the wets. So yeah, sometimes Jeff can be a little bit what do you say? Like he doesn't tell you the right thing at the right time sometimes. It's happened like a lot. So even
for those of us who don't know, like what important role does Jeff play?
Jeff is basically our virtual race engineer. So he's the one in our ear basically telling us what to do on track.
Oh
so,
my!
And we have like
I'm so confused.
Ask him.
I got confused with Jeffy. You know, the avocado is Ferrari, because everyone gives him crap. So I was like, again. So yeah.
They give him crap because he would make a shitty engineer. That's why. Yeah. No, we have a virtual engineer we can like talk to and he does it. So yeah, that Jeff. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, speaking of, yeah, go ahead.
I think KDB still had to answer. Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
thought
it's basically
process
what
behind all
Daniel
this
just said.
decision.
I was spamming as soon as the cloud started forming. I was spamming. Like there's a radio button, like a whole list of radio commands we can issue to Jeff. So I just kept spamming the weather report button, trying to determine when exactly it'll start raining. And so once the safety car came out, I was a bit chill because I knew it was going to be around this time, and the safety car's out, so there's no gap really. So I just had to wait for Jeff's call basically because the race was slowed down so much.
Yeah, Sarthak, I have just one last question. I think even you can answer this because, like, there's so many incidents. Like while watching the race and the highlights, like I kept seeing at the bottom, this person gets a 3-second penalty, this person gets 5 seconds. So for the stewards, how was it to keep track of all of that? And like, how hard was it for the stewards? Because I mean, we talk about the racers, but the stewards have a hard job as well.
Sarthak, you want to go ahead?
well, I'd like to say, I think if one of the things, as being part of the stewards also, I've noticed is that we care a lot about the decisions we make because we don't want to set precedents in a wrong way. So that's mainly an issue, and a bigger issue is every time a safety car comes out, and the big debacle, which was even after Monaco, the debate whether lap cars need to overtake the safety car or not. That's always up for debate and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, all the stewards do an equally good job. They actually spend a lot of time. I remember initially when we were stewarding right after the first race, I thought, okay, probably a half an hour thing. We actually ended up spending quite a long time, and for good reason, of course. We actually analyzed, and I was like, okay, yeah, there's like actual analyzation going on. So I was very impressed with, the people who stood with me, and yeah, it's always chaos when we have multiple incidents at a single race.
Yeah, so like corner cutting penalties are the easiest to watch out for because the game automatically records it. So as part of the stewards team, we're only looking at the worst incidents, the gracious dive bombs or a punt into the wall, like the incidents which the game can't award penalties for, which the game doesn't have a mechanism to award a penalty for. Like maybe other games has the mechanism, but since this you can basically punt someone off in this game, and then you don't get a penalty for it. Whereas in Gran Turismo or any other game, you get your license, you have a cost on your license, or you get a time penalty. I think that is usually what we look at. Like we ask the drivers send those sort of incidents, and we look at that and we're judging that. The other hardest portion is, of course, under safety car, all the chaos that happens there. Because all the drivers stick together a lot, so it's bound to there's bound to be a lot of incidents there as well. So those are a bit tricky. But again, because there's 5-6 of us, we try to keep it as fair as possible, and that's what we'll continue to do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you said, we try to keep everything as fair as possible. In fact, while stewarding, we don't have an extra pair or an extra group of stewards. So some of the drivers have volunteered to steward themselves. So if there's an incident, let's say a driver is involved who's actually one of the stewards, or a driver of the same team is one of the stewards involved, that particular steward will not be part of the decision. So we have structured it like that.
Absolutely great job by the stewards all pretty much every race till now, and for the races to come, regardless of whether a driver likes to debate it every time or not. Let's talk about positions in the leaderboard. Obviously, KDB, you split the two racing points. Your results have let you do that. Obviously, Big Man Joe, you took another podium, so that actually helped you in keeping the top of the leaderboard, staying on top of the leaderboard. Both of your teammates, unfortunately, aren't really at their prime, just like you, regardless of skill, but just in making sure the team goes up in the constructors leaderboard. So first thing I want to ask is, what is happening with your teammates? I know it's a series of unfortunate events when it comes to Rocket Man. Really sad in Monaco. But yeah, just give us an idea. How's it going with your teammates? And
My my teammate has had like the worst luck when it comes to races. He keep getting caught behind safety cars, keep getting punted by some. Like last race, he got. I think what happened was he got hit at the start. Maybe he got hit by someone basically. Even in the last race, he got hit the wall in Baku. He got taken out over there. So like in Spain, he wasn't disqualified. He DNF'd before the first lap even was over. So he's been hit with a lot of bad luck recently, and I also think like he does deserve a better car in the Williams. I mean, as like the way the standings were, he unfortunately got the Williams with me, but he actually deserves a better car than the Williams, in my opinion.
How about Rocket Man?
Rocket Man as well. Like it's a mixture of like unfortunate results as well as like I think all of us are putting in a lot of time into the game, right? So we understand the sort of minor portions of the game, not in terms of pace or track, but the what to do under safety car, how to keep it clean into turn one. That only comes with practice. I don't feel you can jump into the game and just be clean there, like So he likes to keep it casual in the sense like he's not looking at the leaderboards or anything. He's just trying to basically race and have fun. And communication wise, I try to help him out as much as I can, give him a good strategy. And that's about it. As long as he's having fun and he likes racing, I don't mind really. It's fine.
Cool. Awesome. Thoughts on the fact that, Racing Point still have that lead, even though both drivers had an unfortunate race in Monaco. Do you think, not with respect to your own team, but do you think any team at all can catch up to them?
Haas and Toro Rosso, most likely. Because unless Gaurav and Vineet start putting in some insane performances, I don't think Alpha and Williams will catch up. But yeah, I think Haas and Toro Rosso have the best chance here.
Okay. KDB, what do you think?
Toro Rosso accelerated has mad pace, and even he recently got a wheel, so it's coming up. Like he's coming up to the steering wheel level of pace. So I think Toro Rosso has the best chance when it comes to catching Racing Point.
Cool. That's great to hear. Moving further, Canada. Right before we started off with the post-race chat, I asked who's gonna mark their attendance first in the Wall of Champions, and y'all answered pretty much everyone is gonna nick that wall at some point in time. But overall, the track, your confidence going into the race, do you think y'all will be able to place in the podium again? Y'all have looked strong, in the previous races as well, and that's being consistent. Y'all are being consistent. So, thoughts on Canada?
KDB, you want to go first?
Yeah, okay. It is a street circuit. I mean, and if you see my track record with street circuits, I have been performing really good on there. But Canada is actually a pretty difficult circuit when it comes to track limits, actually. So we're running with the strict track limits, which we weren't running last season. So in the second section, I don't remember which turn, but in the second sector, right before the hairpin, that chicane is where I get a lot of corner cutting penalties. So that's actually a place where I struggle with on Canada. So I'll have to practice. Rest of the track, I like track, especially the last corner. It's a real challenge going into that corner every lap. You don't know what's going to happen, especially how the game behaves with the curves on the chicane. You don't know if your car's going to be thrown into the wall or what's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to a good challenge Sunday.
Man, here.
Yeah, man. Canada is a lovely track. Very challenging, but I don't remember the last few races that we've had there. I think the first race that we had there, the pace was pretty equal throughout. Like all of us were pretty fast there, but of course it's changed now that the seasons has progressed. Yeah, man, it's a really nice track, and that last chicane on the last corner. If you really want to get a good qualifying lap, you basically have to eat it there. You gain so much of time there. It's almost over 2 tenths, 3 tenths. So I think in qualifying, we're going to really come close to the wall to try to get a good lap time. But in the race, we're going to try to maybe give it a little kiss, but nothing more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, and that chicane is even more ruthless with straight corner cutting. Like,
Okay. All right. Great talking to you all. But one last nerdy question. You all won't really get to use the wet tires, even though it's virtual. I'm pretty sure it feels a different way, while driving on the full wet tires. Do you all enjoy it rather than the softs and the mediums and the hards? Do you find a difference? Or are you just happy with no rain, all sunlight, dry track?
everyone loves a dry track as much as I do, but
Yeah.
as much as we all, I'm not sure what the phrase is probably, but everyone loves a dry track. But actually, I quite enjoy driving on a greasy track. Like just like right when the changeover is about to happen between the dries and the inters, it's a really tense time, and I actually enjoy the thrill of driving at that point because you don't know where the grip is going to be going to the next corner. You don't know when you have to brake. You don't know how much grip you'll have when you turn the wheel. So every corner is a challenge. I love driving it.
Cool. How about you, Big Man Joe?
Yeah, man. It's pretty fun. What you could say. Like ideally, all of us would like a dry track, but the wet is a good challenge. And then it throws a curveball. Like the fastest guys on the dry usually may not be the fastest guys in the wet. So driving in the wet is another skill. But again, like none of the racing games or the simulators have the wet physics like nailed down yet. Like you should be able to take wet lines and stuff, which I don't think any of us will get the experience of in any of the current games. But it's pretty good fun to drive. So yeah, man. Hopefully we can get a game. Maybe I think ACC might have that physics. I don't know. Maybe something in the future where we get to take like a proper wet line into corners, and that will be really fun. Like you'll be really on the edge throughout the whole track. So that will be really cool. Yeah.
Yep. You said something. You said it sends a curveball with respect to who's faster on dry and who's on wet. But it's pretty obvious, both of y'all, regardless of the weather conditions, y'all end up on the podium either way. So your skill is commendable, no doubt. See you boys in Canada.
All right, bye bye.
Thank you, boys. See you. Bye bye.